Hey everybody, and welcome to Honeybee Entertainment. I'm your Coach B, and today I wanted to talk about the brand new game mode in Overwatch 2. It's a quick play hack that is being called Kingmaker. The rules are fairly simple. Essentially, there's a maximum of 2 for a role and a minimum of 1. So in a 5v5 setting, you're always going to end up with 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 1 DPS, or change it up however you like. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to actually jump into a game and attempt to talk while I play. So we'll see how it actually goes. But there are a few things that I wanted to discuss. There's a lot of things that I really have enjoyed playing with, and I think that it's totally worth us pointing out and actually taking the time to acknowledge some of the changes. I'm going to pull this up real quick so you can see. These are the different passives that the single player, the King, will get. So depending on the role, it will change. Tanks get increased health, reduced CC and movement speed increase, extra health and cooldown reduction, or attack speed and reload speed increased for DPS. And the supports get a 20% cooldown on all of their abilities, as well as extra HP. So overall, let's see here. On our team right now, our Kiriko is going to be our King. So our Kiriko is going to have her abilities up 20% faster. She's going to be able to stay in the fight a little bit longer with the increased HP. And additionally, we're able to play with both a Roadhog and Amalgam. So again, this is kind of where the main interesting part is that you're not locked in to the typical 1-2-2 that we have had with role queue 5v5. So what does this mean exactly? Well, it means that you can come up with some more cool combinations, and like I said, you're not locked into that standard way of playing the game. So what kind of things have I seen? Well, I've definitely seen a lot of this, 2 tank, 2 DPS, and a support. I would say the one that I've seen more people play and be slightly more popular is to have 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 1 DPS with increased attack speed and reload speed, so that they can kind of do the job of the DPS better by themselves. And then you also get that additional tank that you typically don't have in 5v5. So, do I like it? I have been enjoying it a lot, actually. Like I said, I think that the 1 DPS is potentially the better way of playing. But I've had a bunch of success with 1 tank and 2 supports, whatever it might be. And you're not always going to be playing into that mirror either. Bye-bye. Oh, I got too carried away with that. I forgot about the Ana. So you're just because the 1 DPS might be best on paper. I've played against a ton of teams that have a single Roadhog that is just popping off, and they're able to sustain him with the 2 supports, and it's typical to the 5v5 that we're used to. But with that tank, especially in this, it's a unranked setting, so there actually typically is a reduced amount of health and CC reduction that the tank has in quick play, which is essentially taken away by the health passive and the CC reduction that you get. So what that essentially means is that the tank is playing like they would in oh, dang it, come on. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get her. So essentially the tank is playing like they would in in a typical ranked setting. They have that kind of power. So, man, I'm struggling to aim at the moment. So there's not a ton different from what people are typically used to playing the tank role if they are the king. So another big thing that I really want to just praise the devs for in this quick play hack is, as you'll notice on the bottom left of the screen, they have added in a new UI for you to be able to see exactly what health your teammates have, and also you can track their ult charge. It doesn't show you their exact percentage, but without hitting tab, you can easily pull up and see, or look down and see exactly who has their ult and who doesn't. So it makes playing around the team a little bit easier. But you know, it's just a quality of life change that it's kind of crazy that after 8 years we're just now getting it. But I definitely, when I first got on, I was just going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like repetitively, because of how just because of how good it is. I mean, it's just, some people I have been hearing in the community saying it's kind of an extra clutter. I disagree. I think that it's just more information, and you can totally just ignore it. But if you want to take the time to look at it, it is totally worth your time. And I think the big issue I've always had playing DPS, for instance, one of the things I like about support is you're able to see through the walls what people's HP is at. And what that means is that, you know, you're able to better judge, should I go in now, should I not go in? Oh man. And with DPS or tank, you typically didn't have that. And so now, being able to actually see what their HP is, I feel like it increases the ability for the typical player to just look down and be like, oh, okay, right now I have 3 teammates that are dead. Okay, now they're all back. I didn't have to hit tab. I don't have to worry about looking at all these numbers that I don't care about. I'm just wondering, where are my people? Are they alive? How much health do they have? And that really simply gives it to you. And so I definitely like that. Now, the downside that I mainly see is obviously not all heroes are alike. This was the same thing we had with the last quick play hack we did, which was there's kind of just a general passive given to everyone, regardless of the character. And not all characters are made equal. Some characters benefit from certain abilities more than others. But overall, you know, I think the passives themselves are fairly balanced. They don't feel, terrible to play against, and they definitely feel like power is being put into the hands of the person that has become the king. They feel more powerful. They feel like they can do more. But I would also like to say that at the same time, it doesn't feel like they have to be the admin of the lobby. Like, they can still, it's okay for them to not run the game. Because, you know, like, if you're playing 1 tank against 2, even if you're more powerful, you know, you're still fighting against 2 tanks. So you messing up a little bit is understandable. Where's this JQ? So I don't think there's like an issue with people feeling like, oh, I'm the king, I have to perform or something. And I think that is good, because we don't want a ton of pressure put on the person. We want the person that's the king to also have fun and to feel powerful, but not feel like they're being forced to perform. But that would bring me into the next talking point thing I like, and thing that I think can be a little frustrating, which is there is a soft role queue lock. So after the game starts, you are locked into the role that you chose at the beginning of the game. So that way, you don't have to worry about the tank switching, the king switching from one role to another throughout the match. So the enemy team can keep track of that a little bit easier, and they don't have to worry about, like I said, trying to keep track of who's the king now. You might have to say, okay, the tank changed this, so now I have to worry about the king being a Reinhardt instead of a Roadhog. But you're not worrying about the king going from that Roadhog to a Kiriko or something, right? So the soft role queue, I think, is a really good addition, and something I actually really have enjoyed. They did this a couple of quick play hacks ago. I'm dead. And I'm okay with it. I like it. It gives people the freedom to choose what they want at the beginning of the game, but then, so you can come up with what you want, and they can find games a little bit quicker because it is technically open queue. Now, the one issue that I will note, oh, hey, look at that. The one issue I will note is that something I've noticed is that people will take their time and wait until the last second to choose their hero, choose their role, simply because they want to be the king. So they're waiting, trying to see if they're going to have the ability. And so I've had some games where the match actually has already started before people finish selecting, and I'm fairly certain that's just because they're trying really hard to be the king. Now, I think that will probably change if this gets implemented into the game, which, I'm going to be honest, I think it might. If it does, I don't know if they're going to maybe extend the timer or do a soft role queue where, typically, when you're going into role queue, you're given tank damage support and then all queue. So on a team of 5, you're always going to have one player in each of these roles. And if 2 players are queued in all roles, then that could be a full team right there. And you don't have to find the extra 2 DPS or extra 2 support, whatever it might be. So I think that it could reduce queue times overall, but there still is that issue of people might want to be the king, and in that case, you could end up with some psychology and emotional things going on. But I really like the role queue a lot, and I like the idea of how it affects the queue time, because essentially it's just an open queue game that then after the game starts, you're locked in. So I have, again, thoroughly enjoyed myself over these past couple of days playing this game mode. This is something that they have already talked about implementing next season when they're running their 6v6 test. They want to run this Kingmaker game mode again, and it's simply going to be a max 3, min 1. So now you're going to be able to do 2 tanks, a DPS, and 3 supports. Again, change it up however you'd like, but you're going to be able to do some more fun, wacky combinations where the solo person is getting an extra buff to compensate for them being alone. And I have to say, I think that this could be an answer to the 5v5 issue. Next season, we're going to get the 6v6 playtest, and we're going to get to see it as it is today with the heroes that we are all used to in 2024 now. And we haven't gotten that yet. We got Overwatch Classic just last month, and that was very enjoyable, but again, there were some glaring flaws, and I think people are really now just antsy to try 6v6 out as it is now. And I think it could work, and the developers talked about maybe running 6v6 and 5v5 at the same time, but I think that Kingmaker could be a good step for 5v5. I think that it levels it out. It doesn't make it 6v6, but it makes playing a solo tank feel a little bit more complete. You don't feel like you have to hide all the time. You get a little bit more agency. Obviously, it's not the same thing as having a second tank to split attention, but you're able to hold space and maintain your angle a little bit longer with the increased HP and your less CC, more movement speed. So I genuinely think that this could be a good step for the game overall. Like I said, I'm not sure how they would do it with queue times, especially with roll queue. I know that we've all come to kind of just accept roll queue to be the way that the game is played at a high level, but I think that Kingmaker could easily replace roll queue, and you still could have people, like I said, queue in for the role that they want to play. If they are hard set on I want to play tank, then they can get a tank game, and they will. Obviously, when it comes to 5 stacks, you're going to have to talk with your friends and actually say, here's what I'm going to play. I want to queue up for DPS. Okay, I do too. Well, I want to play tank. Okay, well, we got 2 DPS and a tank. We might get a support player, and then after that, the last person is going to say, all right, is the tank going to be the king, or is the support going to be the king? So there's always going to be kind of that psychology behind it of people wanting to be the king, and that's the one big issue I see. But other than that, I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. I think that the devs totally cooked with this game mode. I like the soft lock roll queue. I really like the UI they added, and I think that the buffs are impactful, but not necessarily overpowering or frustrating to play against. So those are just some of my thoughts on the Kingmaker open queue that the developers dropped this week. I hope that you guys have gotten to play it. I'd love to hear what your opinions are, but going forward, I'm really also excited for next season, getting to play the 66 version of Kingmaker and see if I like it just as much as I like the 5v5 version. So that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed. I've been your Coach B. This is Honeybee Entertainment. Ciao.